Hello everyone, this is the Film Buff Gamer Guy, and I'm sorry that this video is kind of late because people out in my dormitory were obnoxious. But anyway, let's start with the video. So when James Gunn announced that he would not be rehiring Henry Cavill to continue playing Superman after resigning from The Witcher to play Superman, people got pissed off because James Gunn announced that he was going to reboot the whole DC cinematic universe, and he's going to... And basically, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Zach Levy as Shazam, and will just be kicked off. And when Shazam: Fury of the Gods and Aquaman 2 is going to come out next year. So I watched the video that James Gunn posted on Twitter, and I went on fandom.com, the fandom Instagram account, and it's kind of like the MCU, but instead of calling it DC Cinematic Universe Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, they call them chapters, and they're not going to have multiple phases that has an ongoing arc. It's going to have chapters, and a chapter is going to have a creative name. So the first chapter is going to of James Gunn, DCU, who previously directed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and was involved in writing Infinity War, writing the Guardians of the Galaxy bits and lines in Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. And my phone just... That chapter 1 is going to be called the Gods and Monsters. That's the first chapter. And anything outside the DCU will be labeled as DC Elseworlds. Which will be Matt Reeves' Batman trilogy and Joaquin Phoenix, the Joker. There's a rated R musical of the Joker, kind of like the South Park movie, which was a rated R musical. Like the Joker, the standalone Joker movies and the Batman with Matt Reeves are in their own universe, which I thought that James Gunn was going to put Robert Pattinson's Batman into his DC universe, but that's just... and the Joker and Joaquin Phoenix Joker in his DC universe, but that's not the case. What do you think... So what do I think of the upcoming DC? I'm actually less pissed off because the reason is there are articles about how they're going to connect the previous DCEU, which failed. How Shazam: Fury of the God will connect to the Flash, and the Flash will connect to... So they're going to end the DCEU in a good note. Which I really hope they do, because if they don't, then what's the point in going to go see... Imagine if Marvel released Thor: The Dark World and that was a train wreck, and Marvel's like, you know what, we're just rebooting. We just made one train wreck of Thor: The Dark World. Let's just reset the MCU without giving it a proper finale or anything. A proper transition. It's like if Marvel did that, and DC is doing the right thing by connecting the DCEU into James Gunn new universe. So, what do I think of the batch of movies? There's going to be 5 movies that's going to launch the DCU, and it's going to be Superman Legacy, which is the only one that has a release date, which is July 11th, 2025. And it's not going to be an origin story this time, and thank God, because we already seen it. It's going to be where Superman has only been Superman for about a year, and he's already got the hang of it, but he hasn't been being Superman. He's only been Superman for a short amount of time. And then there's the Authority, which is a minor superhero group from DC that nobody hears about. And The Brave and the Bold, not the Cartoon Network Batman cartoon, but it's about Batman having a younger son who's Robin, which we haven't got a theatrical released movie with Batman and Robin since Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. So then there's a Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and then Swamp Thing. So there are some people that heard of Swamp Thing. It's not like a well-known DC character, but there are people out there that heard of Swamp Thing. But the Authority, that superhero group, is really obscure. No, I haven't even heard of him until now, and nobody has until James Gunn announced the project. As with TV shows, there's an animated show called Creature Commandos, an animated series written by James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy and the one running the cinematic universe. And it's going to be an animated show, so James Gunn's DCU is going to have both live action and animated shows that's in the same universe, same canon, which is interesting. And then there's Waller. Season 2 of Peacemaker has been put on hold, but this series will use the same team. And then there's The Lanterns, focused on Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, detective-style story. So they're gonna do a reboot of Green Lantern, which there was a Green Lantern movie back in 2011 that dropped, and the Green Lantern's going to get rebooted into a TV show, and I think it can be fun, and it's gonna have both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart as the two Green Lanterns, and I'm actually looking forward to this project because it's going to be like a white guy, black guy buddy type show. Like it's going to be like Lethal Weapon and Rocky 3 or Die Hard with a Vengeance, those kinds of things. And I enjoyed those movies, and I enjoyed that genre of white guy, black guy romance movies. I enjoyed that, and I look forward to The Lanterns. Then there's Paradise Lost, which is a Game of Thrones styled show that takes place in Wonder Woman's homeland, childhood land that she grew up, called Themyscira, before Wonder Woman. It takes place before Wonder Woman was born. Then there's Booster Gold, which is a minor DC character nobody's heard about. And it's a comedy-based show based on Mike Carter, which is his alter ego. James Gunn is basically making TV shows and movies about very minor DC characters nobody has heard about at all. So, my thoughts on the new DCU? I have mixed feelings about it, and it's my best. What I can rate it out of 10 is me scratching my chin out of 10. That's the score that I give James Gunn DCU. He's not pacing it like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where he's first doing well-known characters. Like the MCU Phase 1 started out with Iron Man, then the Incredible Hulk, before when he was casted as when Edward Norton was cast as the Hulk until he got replaced by Mark Ruffalo, and then there's Thor, Captain America, and then the Avengers. And at first, fans and myself included thought that it's going to start with a Superman movie and then a Batman movie, then a Flash movie, Aquaman, a Wonder Woman movie, then the Justice League, just like the MCU Phase 1. But that's not the case. They're going to probably do a Justice League, at least for another chapter or two, until then he'll make another Justice League. That seems to be the plan. And overall, I'm very, very mixed on. Like, it's very interesting. And then that he's making shows and movies about minor DC characters that nobody talks about at all or heard of in Phase 1, in his first batch. First, and then, like Marvel, what Marvel did is they did the more well-known Avengers characters, and then in Phase 2 they made the Guardians of the Galaxy, which was an obscure group of Marvel characters. And James Gunn knows how to adapt minor comic book characters nobody heard of and make them become blockbusters. James Gunn has done it before, and James Gunn can do it again. He's done that with Marvel, and he can do that with DC as well. So overall, I'm quite mixed. I really don't know what to say about James Gunn DCU. Like, the best part is I'm glad he's focusing less on Batman. He is doing a Batman and Robin theatrical big screen movie. And I'm glad he's focusing more on Superman. Because Superman's one of the greatest DC characters and one of the best superheroes of all time in our culture. But there are things that I wish would happen, and like, I wish there was a Shazam and Superman versus Black Adam with Henry Cavill and Zach Levy. I wish that project existed. I wish Henry Cavill will continue being Superman, and I wish that's the case, but James Gunn has different plans, and the best we can do is see what stuff he comes out, and if it's good, then we'll praise it. If it's bad, then we'll shit on them. And I wish the DCU becomes a success, because the DCEU had a lot of missed opportunities. And I hopefully James Gunn doesn't completely screw up the DCU.